Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to really get into some fascinating source material and pull out those useful nuggets just for you. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're looking at basically day one of a really intensive English learning program. But, and this is the key thing, this isn't just about learning English. Our mission here is to unpack the universal strategies hidden in this day one challenge. These are principles you can genuinely use for learning anything coding, music, maybe a new craft, whatever it is. The source is called Excerpts from Mastering English, Day One Challenge. And honestly, it's got some great practical tips, some really funny examples too, and some quite surprising thoughts on how we actually learn stuff.
Yeah, what's really compelling, I think, is that even if English isn't your specific goal, the way this program is structured, it gives you a blueprint. It shows you how to tackle those, common hurdles like being scared of mistakes or just keeping up the practice. It's a solid plan for building pretty much any new skill. And a big theme, something we'll keep coming back to, is this shift from just taking in information to actually doing something with it, active engagement.
Couldn't agree more. And right from the start, day one lays down this core idea that's so vital for any kind of learning. It's this philosophy that mistakes, they're not just okay, they're actually like ladders or stepping stones. In the source, one of the hosts, Rahul, he tells this great little story. He talks about saying, I'm go-to-market. And apparently the shopkeeper just looked totally confused. His co-host, Anjali, then jumps in saying something like, I thought you committed grammar murder. It really captures that immediate, sometimes embarrassing feedback you get with early mistakes. But then Rahul turns it around. He says, we all make mistakes, and those very mistakes are our ladders. Such a powerful way to frame it.
It really is. And that initial framing, it's so important because it immediately works on dismantling that fear of failure. That's a huge barrier for so many people starting something new. A lot of us come from school systems where mistakes are, they're penalized. So you learn not to try if you might be wrong. But thinking about it from a cognitive science angle, every single mistake you make and then correct is actually vital input for your brain. It's not just, I messed up. It's literally a signal. Your brain goes, okay, that didn't work. Let's adjust. Let's strengthen the right pathway. That whole process, sometimes called error-based learning, it actively builds those neural connections. So yeah, it's not just a nice idea. It's how our brains actually optimize. It really encourages that growth mindset from minute one.
A required signal. I like that. It changes how you think about it, doesn't it? From something to avoid to something you almost need. And to make this concrete right away, the program gives this fun little challenge. It asks learners, how would you say, I'm hungry, but I have no money in English?
Yeah.
And they add this playful bit. If you get it wrong, you owe us pizza. It turns making a mistake into a game instantly. Makes it interactive, less scary. Brilliant. So, okay, they've set the stage. Mistakes are good. They're learning tools. What's the first, active thing they get learners to do in this day one challenge? Turns out it's what the source calls the most powerful method, listening and shadowing. Now, for anyone who hasn't come across it, shadowing basically means you listen really carefully to someone speaking, maybe a native speaker, and you repeat exactly what you hear right away, trying to copy everything, the rhythm, the pronunciation, the ups and downs. Anjali, the co-host, gives this really memorable and honestly pretty funny example. Rahul asks her to repeat, good morning, how are you today? And she comes back with this super exaggerated version.
Good morning. Who are you today?
Chuckles slightly.
It just perfectly shows that initial phase where it feels maybe a bit awkward, but you're stretching your mouth, your brain around these new sounds.
And it's more than just copying, isn't it? Shadowing taps into what neuroscientists sometimes call the audio motor loop. You're not just passively hearing, your brain is kind of predicting, processing, and then producing the sound almost all at once. It creates this really tight feedback loop, strengthens the connection between hearing something and saying something. Think about maybe a musician learning a piece by ear while also practicing the finger movements. It's similar. Shadowing builds that muscle memory for speaking. And crucially, it helps you pick up the natural flow, the rhythm, the intonation stuff that makes you sound fluent, not just like you're reading words off a page. It's fundamental, really, for language, music, even physical skills in sport.
That makes a lot of sense, connecting the hearing and the doing so directly. And the program doesn't just say go shadow, it gives structure, which I think is really smart. They have levels. They start with easy phrases, things like, what is your name or where do you live? Simple stuff. And they move to medium sentences, something like, I am learning English to improve my career. And finally, they get to full paragraphs. Rahul demonstrates one, today is a beautiful day. I'm excited to start my English journey. I believe practice will make me better. And the really important part, After each example, they prompt, now you repeat with us. It pushes you into that immediate guided practice, building up complexity slowly. Right? So after building that listening and mimicking foundation, the challenge quickly moves into, well, actually speaking yourself. Active speaking drills. The source uses self-introductions as the first exercise, which is clever, right? It's something everyone needs to do. And they show different ways to do it. Rahul gives a short version. Hello, my name is Rahul. I live in Delhi. I love cricket. Simple, direct. Then Anjali gives a longer one, more personal.
Hello, my name is Anjali. I'm from Lucknow. I love dancing and binge-watching K-dramas. My dream is to enjoy them without subtitles. It encourages you straight away to make the language yours, connected to your life.
And that immediate jump into practical scenarios, it's really effective. It taps into what's called situated learning, the idea that you learn best when you learn something in the context you'll actually use it. So instead of just learning abstract rules, you're building sentences that mean something to you. That doesn't just build confidence, it also pushes you to be more flexible mentally. You're adapting the language you're learning, even if it's just a little bit, to a real situation. It's much more powerful than, say, just studying grammar tables in a book. It's like reading a car manual versus actually trying to change the oil using the manual. The doing part makes all the difference.
That's a great point. And maybe it helps with that early anxiety too, making it personal but still structured. And then they really ramp it up with these role play scenarios. They're super practical and often pretty amusing. The first one is an interview. Role play 1. Anjali asks, tell me about yourself. And Rahul gives this slightly self-deprecating answer. My name Rahul. I am jobless, but I am hopeful. And Anjali immediately comes back with, our grammar be jobless, hey kya, which means, and is your grammar jobless too? So again, that gentle push reminding you mistakes happen.
Nice. Keeps it light.
Yeah. Then there's role play 2, ordering in a cafe. Rahul's the waiter, Anjali's ordering, and it gets into that classic confusion. 1 coffee, no sugar, little sugar, more sugar. Anyone who's tried ordering drinks in another language has probably been there. And the last one, role play 3, is an airport scene. Rahul's asking dramatically, where's my luggage? And Anjali delivers the punchline. Sir, luggage to Gaya Goa. Aap yahan Delhi mein ho. Sir, your luggage went to Goa. You're here in Delhi. These are just brilliant because they cover common, useful situations. But the humor keeps it engaging, keeps the stress down, makes the learning feel real and fun.
Exactly. What those role plays are building is what we call communicative competence. It's more than just being grammatically perfect. It's about being able to actually function in a real conversation. And the humor, the relatable mix-ups, they're really powerful there. They help lower what linguists call the affective filter. That's basically the emotional barrier, anxiety, self-consciousness that can just shut down learning. When you're laughing, when you feel relaxed, your brain is much more open to taking risks, trying things out, absorbing new stuff. And that principle works everywhere. Practicing a presentation with a friend, surgeons using simulators, musicians jam in that safe simulated practice bridges the gap between knowing and doing.
Okay, so from those really interactive speaking bits, the program then shifts focus a little bit to vocabulary. But they don't present it like, a boring list to memorize. They frame it as a game. For day 1, they introduce 15 words, and they categorize them, which is helpful. Easy words and advanced words. So the easy ones are things like journey, excited, practice, improve, confident, hungry, travel, happy, friend, simple. And then the advanced ones, opportunity, challenge, success, achieve, fluent. They even throw in a fun example sentence. I am excited to eat pizza after this recording. Which, I have to say, feels quite relevant right now.
Doesn't it just... But, yeah, it's a smart way to do it because vocabulary isn't just about memorizing definitions, is it? It's about understanding the context, how words actually work together. Framing it as a game taps into, gamification principles and active recall. You're not just passively reading. You're doing things like creating sentences, playing that wrong or right game they mention. That forces your brain to actively pull out the word and use it, which really helps lock it into long-term memory. It just makes the whole process feel less like hard work and more like playing, which is great for sticking with it, whether you're learning words or coding syntax or anything with new terms.
Yeah, that wrong or right game sounds simple, but really effective for getting that instant check. Rahul gives the example. He go to school. You think about it, decide, and then boom, you get the correction. He goes to school. It makes the learning really interactive, helps you correct yourself. That's powerful. And speaking of correcting things, that brings us nicely to grammar. The program calls it a grammar snack. Just small, easy to digest bits. For day 1, the focus is super specific, just the simple present tense. They show it clearly. I play cricket, he plays cricket, but then they show the common mistake. He play cricket. very direct. And just like before, they use a deliberate, slightly funny mistake in correction. Rahul says, she eat mango. And Anjali teases him, Are wa mango kare ya grammar. Wow, are you eating mango or grammar? Before giving the correct form, she eats mango. That's another example of using that immediate, gentle, humorous feedback. Makes grammar seem less scary.
Definitely. And this whole snack idea for grammar, it's very effective. It avoids overwhelming people. It's basically applying principles of chunking or micro-learning. Instead of facing a whole chapter on tense, you get one core concept, something small enough that you can actually practice it right away and start using it. That prevents that feeling of being overloaded, which can kill motivation, especially early on when learning something complex, grammar, coding rules, dance steps, whatever. It gives you structure, but without making it feel rigid or intimidating. Helps build a positive feeling about learning the rules.
Grammar snack. I really like that phrase. Makes it sound much more approachable. And then, of course, they followed up with simple drills to hammer it home. Things like, I read, he reads, they read, or I eat, she eats, we eat. It's all about quickly applying that little snack of grammar, getting the right patterns into your head. Now, to make sure things don't get too serious and help consolidate everything, the program includes these fun challenges. One is a sort of rapid-fire Q&A. Rahul asks, what is your favorite food? And Anjali gives funny answers, encouraging the audience to join in. It's just a quick, fun way to practice speaking off the cuff. And then, naturally, they have tongue twisters. Rahul tries, she sells seashells on the seashore. And Anjali comes back with, I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. These aren't just silly fun, though, are they? They're actually really good practice for certain sounds, for speaking faster, just improving general fluency.
Absolutely. The inclusion of these fun challenges isn't just filler. It's actually a pretty important teaching strategy. Like we talked about with the affective filter, these things lower stress and anxiety. When you're relaxed, having a bit of fun, your brain is actually in a better state for what's called implicit learning. That's when you sort of absorb patterns and rules almost without realizing it. So these challenges, they help reinforce what you've learned, but in a really low pressure way. Boost your confidence to actually use the new skills without worrying about being tested. It makes the learning sticky and enjoyable. That's huge for keeping motivation up for any tough skill.
And then, to kind of wrap up the core learning for day one, they bring in storytelling and motivation, yet human touch. Rahul shares another personal story, a bit like his go-to-market one. This time it's about saying, I am bore, when he meant I am bored. But he talks more about the lesson he took from it, really hammering home that idea. Errors aren't just okay, they're how you grow. And then Anjali tells this really inspiring story about a child, someone who practiced just 20 minutes every single day, and within 6 months apparently became fluent in English. It's a great example of what consistent active practice can achieve.
Yeah, those personal stories, they provide really powerful social proof. It's tapping into social learning theory. When you hear stories, you can relate to stories of struggle, but also success. It makes the whole process seem less daunting, more achievable. It reinforces the main message, mistakes, even growth, sure, but it also highlights resilience, consistency. Those are universal truths for getting good at anything. These stories aren't just feel-good fluff. They give you real secondhand evidence that the approach works, and that's incredibly motivating when things get tough. It's that human connection, that validation.
And they really spell out that moral, don't they? Mistakes are necessary. Mistakes equal growth. It's a fantastic way to anchor everything they covered on that first day. So let's pull this together. We've just done a deep dive into day one of this English challenge. And wow, there's so many universal learning principles packed in there. We saw how vital it is to embrace mistakes as signals for learning, the incredible power of active listening and shadowing to build those basics, then the effectiveness of practical speaking drills, those role plays for learning in context, how making vocabulary learning a game helps it stick, those digestible grammar snacks to avoid overwhelm, and how crucial fun challenges and personal stories are for lowering anxiety and keeping you motivated.
Yeah, it's this whole package, this day one framework. It really gives you a compelling template for learning effectively. It clearly shows that getting good at something isn't just about soaking up information passively. It's about, actively participating, practicing repeatedly, developing a kind of fearlessness about making mistakes and learning from them, and constantly applying what you learn in ways that actually matter to you. It's a pretty complete roadmap, really, for going from beginner to competent in almost any area.
So thinking about you, our listener, what does this all mean for your own learning projects? Consider the homework from that original source. 20 minutes of listening, shadowing daily, recording your own intro, making sentences with new words, writing grammar sentences. How could you adapt those day one ideas to what you're trying to learn? Maybe if it's coding, are you actively shadowing tutorials? Maybe pausing, typing the code yourself, predicting what happens next. If it's learning guitar, are you embracing the bum notes as feedback? Are you trying to mimic players you admire? Could you create fun challenges for yourself to practice tricky chords? That structured, consistent, active approach, it really is universal. And maybe keep in mind that funny closing thought from the original program. English is like a girlfriend, give it time daily, and it stays happy. Ignore it, and it will say, it's over. Yeah. So what skill in your life are you giving that daily time to, making sure it stays happy? And maybe, just maybe, which ones might be feeling a bit neglected, perhaps whispering, it's over. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the nuts and bolts of learning. We'll catch you next time for more insights.